Welcome to UC Santa Barbara's Career Services Virtual Workshop Series. Our mission is to educate and empower all students and recent graduates to prepare for and pursue success. You are currently viewing the Resumes and Cover Letters workshop. This workshop will be reviewing the foundational knowledge of writing and tailoring resumes and cover letters. It could be helpful for you to have your resume in front of you to critique as we go through each section. Before discussing the details of resumes and cover letters, we first need to understand the purpose of these documents. While the resume and cover letter are important, they are only the first step in the application process. Before ever being hired, you will also be interviewed, and in many respects, this is an even more crucial step in the process. So while your resume and cover letter are undoubtedly important, it is equally, if not more important, to prepare for an interview. After reviewing this video, we highly recommend viewing our Keys to Interview Success workshop for more information on interviewing. Now, to cover some resume basics. First, we recommend creating a master resume. A master resume is a comprehensive document that is formatted in the same fashion as the resume you would submit for any application, but it includes all experiences that you have engaged in so far. This document is often longer than one page. So when applying to a specific position, we recommend using your master resume and reducing it to only include your relevant information to keep your document to a tailored one page. Usually, it's easier to delete irrelevant information from your master resume to create a targeted one-page resume rather than trying to recreate a new resume every time. If an application asks for professional references, you will list those on a separate page. Your references will include your contact information formatted as it is on your resume, and then it will list each reference's name, title, organization or employer, email, and phone number. You can also include a short sentence describing your relationship with the reference. For instance, if they supervised you at a previous position, or if they were your high school teacher that you worked closely with on a project. There are only 3 key sections you need to create a resume: your contact information, education, and relevant experience. We will dive deeper into each of those sections in the upcoming slides. As you see, there are many parts to a resume. Let's dive into each section. Remember, it would be helpful to have your resume in front of you to edit as we go along. If you're applying for something specific, you'll want to tailor your resume to that specific position. Let's look at this help wanted ad as an example. Oftentimes, job postings will include a list of responsibilities or qualifications. These are helpful to review to tailor your resume to the position. When reading through these responsibilities, highlight the key words or skills an applicant may need to apply for this role. You will see that this position lists skills such as recreational management and coordination, communication, customer service, and attention to detail. These are skills to keep in mind as you're developing or reviewing your resume. These skills are very broad, so instead of listing them in a skills section, you'll want to make sure that they are highlighted within your experiences. We will go over this in more detail soon. You will also see an educational request for a bachelor's degree in kinesiology or sports management. For some, this may deter them from applying, since UC Santa Barbara does not have a kinesiology or sports management bachelor's program. However, this request is preferred and not required. It's also helpful to think about any courses you have taken that relate to this area, even if you aren't in the specific major. Now we will start to dive in deeper into each section of a resume to see how we've created Pat's resume. The most necessary aspect of your resume is your contact information. Your contact information includes your name, location, email, phone number, and LinkedIn, personal website, or other professional accounts. Your name does not have to be your legal name. If you prefer to be addressed by your chosen name or a nickname, you may use that name on your resume. Your location only needs to include the city and state in which you reside. If you are applying near your hometown, you may use that city and state. If you are applying near UC Santa Barbara, you may use Goleta, California, or Santa Barbara, California. If you're applying to locations where you do not have a residence, you can remove your location entirely. Regarding your email, you may use your UCSB email. Just remember that your UCSB email is only active for 1 year after graduation. So we recommend creating a professional account that is your name at gmail.com or another affiliated website. For your phone number, use your cell phone and be sure to have your voicemail available to take messages and that your voicemail is a professional greeting if you have that capacity turned on. If you have a LinkedIn profile, professional website, blog, GitHub, or any other professional account, you can link to that in your heading. Here's an example of Pat Gaucho's contact information. As you can see, Pat's name is the largest text on the page. Your name should be what your eyes are immediately drawn to. We recommend using an 18-point font and bolding your name to stand out. You can also format it in this way if this is most aesthetically pleasing to you. Pat decided to keep their information on the side and put their name in the middle. You can choose to have everything in the middle. The format is really up to you. You can also see that Pat's LinkedIn URL only includes their name. If you're interested in changing your URL or creating a LinkedIn profile, we recommend viewing our Are You LinkedIn workshop or reviewing the LinkedIn page under the Get Hired section of our website. The next section you will often see on a resume is the objective. An objective is optional. If you choose to use an objective, it should be no longer than 2 lines and be very specific to the position you are applying for. In the first example of the objective, you see that Pat has used the keywords and skills we identified from the position. This is a great use of keywords. In the second example, Pat uses the exact position title. You could also combine these for an objective that states, to obtain a position as the recreation coordinator for intramural sports that uses my abilities to coordinate recreational programming, collaborate with colleagues, and provide strong customer service. Your education is the first section on your resume. If you choose to have an objective, then it will go directly after your objective. The education section of your resume will include your institution, degree, major, and expected graduation date. You will spell out University of California, Santa Barbara. And if you would like to use the university name later on in your resume, you can add UCSB in parentheses after the full name, similar to how you would when writing an essay. For your degree, write out Bachelor of Arts in your major or Bachelor of Science in your major. If you are currently undeclared, you can write bachelor's degree. Then you will list your current or your expected graduation date. You do not need to write when you started at the university, just when you plan on graduating. This is also a fluid date, so if you plan to graduate early or take an extra quarter, you can change your date as you go. We recommend adding your GPA if it's above a 3.0. This can be your cumulative GPA, major GPA, minor GPA, or upper division GPA, but you will want to specify which GPA you are listing. We also recommend adding any relevant coursework to your resume in this section. Here's an example of Pat's education section. Thinking back to the qualifications from the recreation coordinator posting, the employer preferred a candidate with a bachelor's degree in kinesiology or sports management. Well, Pat does not have a bachelor's degree in those subjects, but they do have a minor in exercise and sport studies with an emphasis in sport management. This emphasis is bolded to highlight this more than their degree in economics. You may notice that Pat has also highlighted their minor GPA rather than their major GPA, since it is more relevant to the position they are applying for. They also showcase their relevant coursework related to sport management, not economics. When writing relevant coursework, you will only need to include the course title, not the course code, as course codes are different at each institution. There may be additional education that you wish to add to your education section. For instance, if Pat was a transfer student, they could list their previous institution below this information in the same format. If Pat studied abroad, they could list their study abroad information below UCSB in a similar format, writing the institution name, UC Education Abroad program as their degree, and the dates in which they studied abroad. If you participated in an internship or research during your study abroad experience, you can write about that in your experience section. In general, we recommend that unless you are in your first year, you should not include your high school education on your resume. If you have very relevant courses that you completed in high school, you could add those to a relevant coursework section, signifying that you completed them in high school. Usually, employers are more interested in your college and university education. Now let's talk about experience. Your experience section or sections may comprise the largest area on your resume. We often think that only paid experience is good experience. However, oftentimes your unpaid experience provides relevant skills to what you are applying for next. Some different types of experience include volunteering, part-time jobs, class projects, sports activities, memberships in campus organizations, research, and internships. You may emphasize different skills depending on the experience. We recommend reviewing the resumes page under the Get Hired section of our website, which has examples of how to best write about specific types of experience. To organize your experience on your resume, you will want to follow a reverse chronological timeline. This means that your most recent experience will be the first listed on your resume. Your most recent experience may be an experience you are currently involved in. However, we also know that sometimes your most recent experience isn't your most relevant. Overall, you want to show your most recent and your most relevant experiences. We will come back to this over the next few slides. To format your experience, you will need to include your position title, your employer or organization name, the location and city and state form, and the dates in which you work there. You only need to write the month and year in which you worked and not the specific day. If you are writing about a course project, instead of a position title, you would write the project title. And instead of an employer, you would write the course name, the location would be the institution, and the dates included that you worked on the project. Within each experience, you will see bullet points. These bullet points focus on your transferable skills. Transferable skills are the skills that you can take with you from one experience to the next. For instance, for someone who was a server, they may write a bullet point that says served food and drink. However, unless you're applying for another server position, that particular skill doesn't really help you. Instead, it would be best to focus on your customer service and time management skills. We recommend starting each bullet point with a positive action verb. What transferable skill did you use? Did you coordinate, schedule, or manage? Within these bullet points, we want to try to answer the questions, what did I do? How did I do it? Why did I do it? And what resulted from it? Look at the last bullet point under Pat's intern experience. What did they do? They negotiated for an intramural Greek tournament. How did they do it? In exchange for Greek sponsorship and staff of the Tiny Tots tournament. What resulted from it? A cost reduction of $3,500. Not all of Pat's bullets are that specific, because sometimes you can't answer every question, and that's okay. However, the more context you provide, the better the bullet point. Review your resume to see if you can answer those questions. You can see that Pat has organized their experience reverse chronologically, as in most recent to least recent. Experiences that they are currently involved in begin this section, and it ends with experiences from further in the past. However, you will see that Pat was an assistant coach back in Wisconsin. Although being a supervisor for Wood Sox is very impressive, Pat may want to highlight their assistant coach role a little more for this resume. To do that, we recommend creating 2 experience sections on your resume. By creating a relevant experience section and an additional experience section, Pat has been able to move all of their sport recreation coordination experience to the top of their resume and move their managerial experience to the bottom. By creating multiple experience sections, you may be able to highlight your experiences in different ways. Some people choose to create sections by focusing on the type of experience, such as research experience or course projects. You can also create experience sections by focusing on skills you utilize in those experiences, such as creating a customer service experience section or a marketing experience section. We recommend reviewing the keywords and skills from the job description to identify headings that would be best for you. Summarizing the concepts from the previous slides, remember to write in accomplishment statements by trying to focus on what resulted from the skills that you used. Begin each bullet point with a positive action verb. Try to take ownership of the skill or task you performed by avoiding generic words such as assisted or helped. Examples of positive action verbs can be found in our career manual on our website. Lastly, also focus on quantifying your experience if you can. For example, when reading through the first bullet point on this slide, imagine what it would sound like without the quantifications. It would read, collaborated with a group to coordinate a fundraising event. This would be an okay bullet point. However, it's much stronger by adding the numbers associated with each area. We understand that you can't do this for every task. Review your bullet points to see if you could be using stronger positive action verbs or if you could quantify your experience. This leads us to see Pat's full resume. As I mentioned before, Pat's resume mainly consists of their contact information, their education, and their experience. However, there are many additional sections that you can add to your resume, such as a membership section where you list the campus or professional organizations that you're a member of. Review the resumes page under the Get Hired section of our Career Services website for examples of additional sections. A common section to add to your resume is a skills section. It may be tempting to add a skills section and list all of the skills listed on the job description. However, a skills section should be reserved for only technical or language skills in a list form. Listing skills such as communication or customer service does not provide much meaning associated with each one. There are many forms of communication and customer service. These skills are too broad and are better shown within the context of your experience or summarized in your cover letter. This is a common example of a skills section. When listing computer skills or language skills, it could be beneficial to identify your competency level of each. For computer skills, common levels include basic knowledge of, familiar with, and proficient in. For language skills, common levels include basic knowledge of, conversational in, and fluent in. It's up to you to determine your competency level. For our science students, it could be helpful to list lab techniques that you are familiar with. For all students in this example, under the computer skills, you could also list relevant ways in which you've used the program, such as data entry and analysis for Microsoft Excel, or scientific figure design for Adobe Photoshop. Think about your own experience in education. Are there any skills that you've learned from your courses that could be transferable to the position that you're applying to? Before moving on to discussing cover letters, here are a few closing tips regarding resumes. Pay attention to your writing. Although Microsoft Word and Google Docs are great at picking up spelling errors, some may go unnoticed. We recommend carefully reading over your resume prior to submitting it, or better yet, having a family member or a friend read through it for spelling and grammatical errors. Be sure that your language is positive. When designing your resume, you want to make sure that you are confident in the way it looks. Oftentimes, we look to using templates since they make designing your resume so easy. However, templates can be very hard to manipulate, and many have large spaces between sections that could be better utilized. Review the resume examples on our resume page under the Get Hired section on our Career Services website. Then create your resume using a blank Word or Google document. A resume is at its best when it's targeted to a specific position by using relevant experience, skills, keywords, and headings that relate to that position. Now we will be discussing cover letters. Many individuals struggle with writing cover letters because they don't understand the purpose of a cover letter. The cover letter is the direct connection between your resume and the position you are applying to. The job description tells you what skills and experience an employer is looking for. Your resume showcases the skills and experience that you have to offer. A cover letter provides the opportunity to directly connect the two. This is why, similar to tailoring your resume, cover letters should be very specific to the position you are applying to. If you're applying to very similar types of roles, such as accounting or software development positions, you may find that the way that you speak about your experience stays the same. However, you will still want to tailor your cover letter to each new position. Cover letters are no more than 3/4 of a page. Because you have limited space, it's best to choose 2 to 3 skills or experiences to discuss, rather than reviewing everything on your resume. Again, connect each skill or experience to the specific position you are applying to. A cover letter also provides the opportunity to show a personal connection to the position or the company. Within a cover letter, you can discuss why you are interested in applying to the role, why you want to work for that organization, or if you have a contact within the organization that you can reference. This is what a traditional cover letter looks like. You will see at the top of the page that Pat has copied over their same contact information from their resume. Now, both Pat's resume and the cover letter look consistent and clean. Next, you will write the date in which you are sending the cover letter, along with the employer's contact information, including the name of the individual you are sending it to, their title, the employer name, and the employer address. If you do not know who you are sending your cover letter to, you can omit the individual's name and title and only write the employer's name and employer address. Then you will begin your letter by addressing the individual, stating, "Dear Tom Pettison," in this example. Again, if you do not know who you're sending your cover letter to, we recommend stating, "Dear hiring manager," or "Dear hiring committee." Avoid using "to whom it may concern," as it's very impersonal. If you can think of your cover letter as a 3 or 4 paragraph essay consisting of an introduction, body, and conclusion. In the introduction, you can begin by discussing why you're interested in this role and how your skills and experiences would benefit this position. Avoid speaking too much about what you would gain from this role and instead focus on what you have to offer. Then your body paragraph or paragraphs would expand on your skills and experience, providing concrete examples of when you have showcased those skills and how they would directly relate to the position you're applying to. Lastly, in your conclusion, summarize your letter and thank them for reading. A common phrase to close a cover letter is, "Thank you for your time, and I look forward to meeting with you soon." There are many variations of that phrase, so choose one that most suits your personality. Sign your letter with a salutation and your name. You can type your name in your current font or choose a fancy font similar to how Pat has their name. We recommend reviewing the cover letter page under the Get Hired section of our Career Services website for more examples of how to format your cover letter. To conclude our Resumes and Cover Letters virtual workshop, we want to remind you of a few important takeaways. First, both your resume and cover letter should be tailored to the position you are applying for with the relevant information and experience. Focus on your accomplishments and be sure you're highlighting them with positive action verbs. Have others read over your resume and cover letter for any spelling or grammatical mistakes. And lastly, be sure to review the Resumes and Cover Letters pages under our Get Hired section of the Career Services website for more information and examples. Thank you for watching the Resume and Cover Letter virtual workshop provided by UC Santa Barbara's Career Services.